Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome professionals and innovators joining us from across the regions who are looking to move from AI curiosity to real organizational readiness. This webinar is hosted by AI Certs in collaboration with Think Smart Gulf, an organization training and we'll do it again. I'm so sorry. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. So we can end
Hello?
the webinar and join again. Hello.
No, that won't be an issue. I'll just get the recording cut. So we can stay here and we can start again. I'm sorry. Good morning, AI Ready Enterprise, preparing your organization for AI adoption. We are delighted to have leaders, professionals, and innovators joining us from across the regions who are looking to move from AI curiosity to real organizational readiness. This webinar is hosted by AI Gulf as a leading corporate training and digital transformation partner in the GCC region. The organization works closely with enterprises and areas like AI, leadership, and digital skills. Through strategic learning, interventions, and certifications, they help organizations accelerate workforce transformation and stay competitive in a rapidly evolving digital.
Hi, you there?
So, did I just logged out or you
No,
were
no,
on?
you just. There is some issue with your network.
Let me just change it with my
Hmm.
mobile hotspot. Yeah, I'll just quickly. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's session AI Ready Enterprise Preparing Your Organization for AI Adoption. We are delighted to have leaders, professionals, and innovators joining us from across the region today. We are also delighted to let you know that this webinar is hosted by AI Certs in collaboration with Think Smart Gulf. Think Smart Gulf is a leading corporate training and digital transformation partner in the GCC region. The organization works closely with enterprises and government entities to build future ready capabilities in areas like AI, leadership, and digital skills. Through strategic learning interventions and certifications, they help organizations accelerate workforce transformation and stay competitive in a rapidly evolving digital economy. With that, we'll move towards today's session that will focus on how organizations can transition from experimentation to structured enterprise wide AI adoption, covering strategy, governance, workforce readiness, and technology foundations. Artificial intelligence is no longer a future concept, it is now a core business capability, and organizations that prepare today will be leading tomorrow. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. We are joined by Mr. Nihit Agarwal, technical trainer at AI Certs and a Microsoft certified trainer with over 12 years of experience in AI, machine learning, and cloud technologies. Nihit has delivered extensive training across global audiences on Azure AI, generative AI, and enterprise AI implementation. He has been recognized among Microsoft's top 100 MCT Quality Award winners and brings expertise in machine learning implementation, AI architecture on cloud platforms, and enterprise AI adoption strategies. He has worked with organizations across industries to help them move from AI learning to real world implementation and measurable outcomes. We're excited to have him guide us through today's session. Ned, thank you for joining us today, and now the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. So let me quickly share my screen. Just in a minute. Please let me know when my screen becomes visible.
Sure, it's loading.
Ye-
Yeah, now we can
Yeah,
see.
thank you so much. So, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking time to join. See, today's session is not about artificial intelligence as a piece of software. It's about becoming data scientists or engineers. See, today we are talking about something much more fundamental. So, organization readiness in an age where intelligence itself becomes automated. So, for the last 30 years, businesses competed using three major advantages, which was capital, process efficiency, and digital systems. But now we have entered the next era, which is the era of decision advantage. Because AI does not simply help companies work faster, it helps companies learn faster. And when an organization learns faster, its competitors, okay, then it doesn't just improve, it separates. Okay, so you can already see this thing happening around you. Okay, so two companies may use the same software, same cloud platform, even similar talent. Yet one responds to the market changes in hours while another takes weeks. And the difference is no longer infrastructure. The difference is the intelligence embedded into the operations. So the real question today is not our organization use AI. The real question over here is our organization structurally prepared for intelligence driven decision making or not? Because many companies are experimenting with AI tools like chatbots, co-pilots, automation, but experimentation itself is not transformation. And what we are observing globally, that there is a widening gap between organizations that deploy AI occasionally and organizations that operate with AI systematically. And this session focuses on closing that gap. So we'll not discuss algorithms or programming languages. Instead, we are going to discuss that how leadership priorities must evolve, how cultures must adapt, how governance must protect trust, and how operations must change. So AI produces measurable business value. So in simple terms, we are not preparing machines for businesses. We are preparing businesses for intelligent machines. So by the end of this session, I want you to walk away with a clear mental model. Not what AI can do in theory, but what organizations must change in practice to benefit from it. So let's begin by understanding what AI readiness truly means and why it has quickly become strategic priority rather than a technical initiative. So before we go deeper, let's set the expectation for this course, this session. This is not a technical workshop. And it's not about building models or writing code. Instead, this is about organizational readiness. Because many companies today are investing in AI tools, but very few are seeing consistent business outcomes. The question arises why? Because AI success depends less on algorithms and more on the alignment. Alignment between your leadership priorities and business outcomes, alignment between your departments that own the data, and alignment between the employees who use the systems and teams who govern them. So today we'll focus on mainly on three layers, that is your clarity, structure, and responsibility. And if you leave today with one outcome, which should be that not which AI tool should we buy today, but what must our organization change so AI works for you rather than you work for AI. And that shift in thinking is the difference between AI pilots and AI transformations. Okay. So next question arises is why does AI readiness matters right now? Not next year, not in 5 years, but today. Many organizations still view AI as innovation. Okay. Something experimental, optional, or future oriented. Okay. But AI is behaving differently from past technologies. Okay. Previous technologies improved how work was executed. AI improves how decisions are made. And decision speed is directly linked to competitiveness. Think about how organization used to operate. Okay. See, planning cycles were periodic, like monthly reports, quarterly forecast, annual strategies. And by the time insights arrived, the situation has already changed. So AI shifts organizations from periodic awareness to continuous awareness. So instead of me asking what happened last month or last year or last quarter, you start asking what is happening right now and what we should do to adjust immediately. And this changes the rhythm of the business. Okay. See, pricing adjusts dynamically, customer experiences personalization that you can do, risk is detected earlier, operations respond faster than the competitors. So the competitive gap is no longer based on resources, it's based on responsiveness, and responsiveness compounds. So a company making better decisions today trains better model for tomorrow, and better models leads to better outcome, which ultimately produces better data, which improves future decisions. So this creates a learning cycle. Okay. And organization without AI operate on experience. Okay. But an organization with AI operate on evolving intelligence. So over the time, that gap widens significantly. Okay. And see, AI adoption is not binary, it's cumulative. So the advantage doesn't appear on the day one. It appears after weeks, okay, of iterative learning, okay, which means delaying adoption doesn't keep you stable, but it increases the distance that you must later recover. So AI readiness is not about keeping up with the technological trends. It's about ensuring that my organizations remain synchronized with the reality. Because markets now move at data speed, the companies must learn at the speed to remain competitive. Okay, now let's talk about one of the most common reasons why AI is stalled. Okay, see, they are assigned to IT. And now that sounds logical, right? See, AI is a technology, so technology team should lead it. Correct. But in practice, that approach limits the impact even before the project begins. Because AI is not simply a system you install, it's not an app. AI changes how decisions are made within your organization. And the decisions belongs to businesses, not the infrastructure team. Think what happens when an organization introduces AI into operations. Okay. So you must decide what departments you can share, what departments can share. You must define acceptable levels of automation. You must determine whether human approval remains mandatory or not. Okay. And you must address legal, ethical, and reputational risk. And see, these are leadership decisions, not technical configurations. Okay. See, technical teams can deploy models, but only leadership can redefine the accountability. So, successful organizations treat AI adoptions as management initiative supported by technology. Okay, not a technological initiative supported by management. See, another important shift occurs here. See, in traditional projects, leadership approves the budget and reviews the progress. But in AI transformation, leadership must also enable experimentation. The question will rise why? Because AI cannot be perfectly designed before use. Okay, it improves through interaction and iteration. See, what worked for you might not work for me because what is changing over here is the data. Okay, what is changing over here is the people who are going to use the AI system. Okay, so we have to make that AI system perfect after using it again and again. Okay, so organizations need two things simultaneously. First, they should have a clear guardrails and permission to explore. And see, too much control stops learning, and too little control risk trust. So the executive role is to balance both. And that's why AI readiness begins with an executive mandate, a clear statement that AI is not a side project and not a pilot experimentation, but an operational priority. Okay. And once leadership signals that intention, departments align faster, data becomes accessible, and adoption accelerates. Without that signal, team will hesitate, not because they lack capability, but because they lack authority. So AI success is less about selecting the right tool and it's more about establishing the right ownership. Clear? I hope I'm making sense to everyone. Okay. So now let's address a reality many organizations are experiencing. See, they begin with an AI initiative with enthusiasm. Yes, we are going to use AI, we are going to implement AI, we'll be more productive and whatnot. Okay, so we start with a pilot project, a proof of concept, and maybe a chatbot or predictive dashboard. See, the technology works. The demo looks impressive and then adoption stops. Not because AI has failed, because the organization wasn't prepared to absorb it. Okay, and this is where most AI programs stall because demonstrate between the demonstration and the daily usage. Okay, and why does that happen? Because AI introduces friction in the three areas simultaneously, which is your data, culture, and skill. Okay, so organizations discover that information lives in silos. Departments define customer differently. Historical records don't align with the current workflows, and AI exposes these inconsistencies immediately. Okay, so what used to be hidden inside the spreadsheet becomes visible when decisions depend upon it. Okay, and see, existing workflows were designed for human review cycles, approvals, escalations, manual checks, and whatnot. But when AI introduces real time recommendations, processes no longer fit that decision speed. Okay, so people don't know where to insert the output, so they simply ignore that. Clear? And employees question reliability. So managers question accountability and the leadership questions risk. So even if the model is accurate, the trust is incomplete. And this is meaningfully different from the traditional software. See, software digitizes existing processes, but AI transforms them. And transformation requires adjustment, not simple mere installation of the system. Okay. So instead of asking, why isn't our AI tool being used? Organization should start asking which organizational habits must be changed so AI become usable. And that shift is critical because AI doesn't fail due to poor algorithms. It simply fails due to the mismatch between your intelligent systems and the legacy models. Okay. So the companies that succeed don't avoid these challenges. They anticipate them. Okay. They treat the first AI project not as a solution, but as a learning exercise about the readiness. Okay. So the first AI implementation doesn't reveal model accuracy. It reveals your organizational maturity. And once that maturity gap is addressed, every future initiative becomes dramatically easier. Clear? So let's begin with the most AI transformation succeed, where the most AI transformation succeeds or fails. That is leadership clarity. See, organizations often ask, where should we use AI? Okay, but the important question over here is what business outcomes we do want to change. Okay, see, AI should never be introduced as a technology initiative. It should be introduced as a business improvement initiative. So, like for example, like we should introduce it like this that we want to implement the AI chatbot. Okay, but what you want to achieve? So I want to reduce the customer wait time by 40% or 50%. Okay, I don't want to use predictive analytics. Okay, but I want to anticipate demand to reduce the inventory cost. Eventually, I have to use predictive analytics, but that's not how I'll project it. Okay, so you should focus on what business outcomes do we want to change today. Okay, so when leaders defines measurable outcomes, teams can align naturally. And when they don't, AI becomes mere experimentation without the impact. Okay. So your role as a leadership is not to pick models. Okay. Your role is to set the direction and the success criteria. See, AI works best when it solves a known problem. Okay. Not when it searches for one. Clear? See, this technology adoption is not limited by the capability. It is limited by the comfort. So employees don't resist AI because they dislike the improvement. They resist the uncertainty that comes with it. So if AI is introduced as a replacement, eventually the adoption will drop. But if AI is introduced as an assistance, okay, the adoption accelerates. So organizations that succeed with AI do three important things. It's first, they educate employees on strength and the limitations. Okay. They allow for the safe experimentation and they reward usage. Okay. And they don't try for perfection in the first attempt. Okay. So think about previous technology shifts, spreadsheets, emails, ERP systems. People adopted them when they become part of your daily work, not a special projects. Okay. And AI must become normal before it becomes value. Clear? So let's make AI readiness more practical. So many organizations say we want to train our people on AI. But the real question is train them for what role? Because not everyone in an organization needs the same AI capability. Okay. So AI readiness is layered and this matrix shows four clear levels of maturity. starting from general staff and moving up to the leadership transformation. Okay. So at level one, what we have is we have AI awareness. Okay. Which focuses on majority of your employees. That is your general staff. So they don't need to build models or understand algorithms, right? They need two things. So it's quite like you want to drive a car. You have purchased a car. So you should know how to use that car rather than how that car internally works. Okay. So they need two things. First is the prompt engineering basics, like how you can ask AI clearly. Next, ethical awareness, like what you should and what should not be shared. So at this stage, the goal is efficiency. So employees can save time by drafting emails, summarizing documents, preparing first version of the reports. So this level alone can significantly reduce the repetitive workload across your organization. And remember, AI awareness is not a technical training. It's a productivity literacy. Okay. Now move on to the managers and analysts. So here AI stops being a productivity tool. It becomes a decision support system. Okay. And they need competencies like data interpretation, basic understanding of model selection, not to build models, but to understand what output means and when to trust it. Okay. And here the outcome shifts from efficiency to better decisions. So instead of only working faster, team starts choosing smarter action based upon the patterns which AI identifies. Okay. And the next layer is the expert layer. So where we have data scientists and the IT teams. So they handle the technical backbone like MLOps, neural architectures, deployment pipelines, and their role is not just analysis. Okay. It's building reliable and scalable systems. And at this level, AI becomes infrastructure, not a tool. And the outcome is innovation, like new capabilities, new services, and operational models. And finally, we have reached the leadership level. So executives and board members don't need that technical depth, but they need strategic alignment. They are going to evaluate the ROI, risk, and whether AI changes competitive positioning or not. So at this level, AI is no longer about improving tasks. It reshapes how organizations operate, and outcome becomes the transformation within your organization. Clear? So now we have discussed workforce readiness. So the next step is understanding what must exist at an organizational level for AI to actually work. Because even with the trained people, AI adoption fails. Okay. If the organization itself is not prepared structurally. And that's where these four pillars come into the picture. See, I'm again repeating, AI readiness is not a technical project. Okay. It is an organizational capability built on four foundations. That is your data, governance, technology, and operations. And importantly, these are not parallel activities. Okay. They reinforce each other. Okay. So let's understand each. See, so let's start with our first pillar, that is data strategy and quality. See, AI is often described as intelligent, but it has no understanding of reality. Okay? It understands the pattern in the data, which means AI quality equals the data quality that you are presenting. And this is where many companies face their first shock. AI exposes the organizational data problem instantly because different data defines customers differently. Records are incomplete. Historical data reflects old processes. So even before deploying AI widely, organizations must ask themselves, do we know what our data represents? Is it consistent across the systems? Can it be trusted for decision making or not? Okay. So data readiness involves four action, which is consistency, completeness, security, and privacy. See, AI is not going to fix the bad data. It accelerates the consequences. Okay. But the organizations that invest here unlock long-term advantage. Okay. Now moving on to the next pillar is governance and ethics. So when AI influences decisions, responsibility cannot disappear. So you must define the guardrails before scale. Okay. Like which decisions can AI recommend? Which can I automate? Okay. and which always require human approval because not all decisions carry equal risk. For example, scheduling optimization is a low risk job. Loan approval is a high risk job. Medical guidance is a critical risk. So governance also addresses about fairness and bias. Okay. So AI reflects the patterns in the historical data and history may include imbalances. Okay. So organizations introduce oversight mechanisms like human overview, human reviews, audit trails, and explainability checks. See, the goal is not slowing AI. The goal is sustainable trust. So without trust, adoption stops internally and externally. Clear? And it will become a fancy tool which some department is using and some are not. Okay. Next, what we have is we have technology stack. Okay. And this is the part where we usually begin with. Okay. So the technology should enable, okay, not dictate the strategy. Okay. Here, the key decisions included are like cloud versus private deployment, open versus proprietary models, centralized versus distributed architecture. See, however, the biggest misunderstanding is believing deployment finishes the project. But in reality, from there, your actual project starts. Okay. Because if we compare and if you try to understand the in terms of human effort given, so till the deployment, you are just giving around 20 to 30% of the efforts. So the remaining 70% effort goes into the system after you have deployed your model. Okay. So this AI system requires the life cycle management, like monitor performances, we have to detect the drift, and we have to retrain the model periodically. Because business environment changes. Okay. And models must adapt to it. So the technology question is not which model we use. It is how we manage the AI continuously 24 by 7. Clear? And finally, we have operationalizing AI, and this is where the value finally appears. Because many companies prove AI works, but never embedded it because they treat AI as a report, not as a workflow component. So operational AI means decisions change automatically in daily process. Okay. For example, inventory adjusts proactively. Support routing changes dynamically. Risk alerts trigger actions immediately. AI can stop being a tool people open and becomes a system that quietly improve operations. Okay. So when employees stop noticing AI, your adoption has succeeded. Okay. Now let's move from framework to reality. See, in fact, financial services, one of the most time consuming activities is the risk assessment. Okay. Loan approvals, credit checks, fraud analysis. So traditionally, these processes followed a predictable pattern. Documents collected, we have to collect the documents, we have to manually verify it, there can be multiple reviews, and then final decision is made whether the loan should be given or not. Okay. And that system worked. Okay. That's because we were getting loans in the past. Okay. But it was slow. We have to wait for days. Okay. So employees spent hours validating the information instead of advising clients. Okay. And the organizations operated in batches rather than in real time. And AI didn't just automate these steps, it changed the nature of the process. Okay. And with the AI, you can scale at a level you can't imagine. Okay. So in here, historical data was used to detect the patterns of acceptable and risky behavior. So instead of reviewing each application from scratch, the system provided an immediate risk score with supporting indicators. Okay. So notice what has changed. So decision moved from after verification to during interaction. So customer received in near instant responses. Okay. Employees focused on edge cases instead of routine approvals. And business velocity increases without increasing the headcount. Okay. See, AI value doesn't come from replacing humans. It came from removing verification work so humans could provide adversary value. Okay. And AI is accelerating the confidence. Okay. And our ultimate aim with this is that when AI is being implemented, it should basically empower all parts of the society. Okay. Regardless of their physical appearance, sexual orientation, and all. Okay. And there should not be any bias in the system. If two people are having same kind of data, so the decisions should be similar. Okay, which might not be the case when we have humans involved in that decision making. Okay, see, one thing that we have to understand is AI is not the whole sole decision maker. It is helping you in take decision. Okay, because at the end of the day, who is going to decide whether the loan should be given or not is us. Okay, but AI can identify the risk, the patterns for that particular customer. So if there are any indicators, okay, that we have to take care of, or is there any risky behavior related to that particular client, we can verify that and accordingly we can take decision. Clear? Now let's look at a very different environment, which is the customer support. See, many organizations experience the same pattern. A very large percentage of inquiries are repetitive, okay, while a small percentage requires a real expertise. For example, let's say you have purchased a new product from a particular website. Okay, so you are new to the product, but that product is there in the market for a very long time. And if customers are facing, let's say, 100 issues with that product, okay, it might be the case that 80 problems are similar. Like they don't know how to basically configure the product if there is configuration involved. Okay. Or they don't know how to properly install that particular product. So around 70 to 80% of the queries will be repetitive in nature. And for that remaining smaller percentage which requires real expertise, so it you can connect it to the human experts. Okay, because see, when employees read every request manually, so which creates mainly two problems. So customer wait is longer and employee spend most of their time on low value tasks. Okay, but AI changed that structure of work. Okay, so for example, routine questions like account status, basic instructions, common troubleshooting were handled instantly. So by that, majority of customers were happy. So let's say I just want to check my account status, and for which I need to wait for around, let's say, 20-30 minutes. It will not make any sense, right? Because I have, whether I should really invest 30 minutes of my life in just getting the account status? The answer will be no. So can I implement something at an organization level which can save a lot of customers' time? So by the end of the day, customers will be happy that their problem is resolved within few minutes. Okay. And for the complex conversations, they can be routed to humans with full context already summarized. So instead of replacing agents, okay, human agent, AI changed their starting point. They no longer begin with information gathering. They directly begin with problem solving. Okay. And the results typically included like shorter response times, higher satisfaction scores, and improved employee engagement because work became meaningful again rather than a mundane task. Okay. And one important thing to focus on this case study is that AI doesn't eliminate role, it elevates them. Clear? Now consider operations. Inventory, supply chain, and planning. Traditionally, planning cycles are periodic, like weekly forecast, monthly adjustments, and quarterly corrections. But market doesn't move periodically, they move continuously. So organizations are always slightly late reacting to it. Okay. And AI changed the planning from scheduled prediction to continuous anticipation by analyzing patterns in demand, seasonality, and the behavior. See, what can happen for a particular product? It might be the case that we are sending that product uniformly across the country, but that might not be the case. Okay, so that particular product might be popular in north or in south. Okay, so accordingly we can take decisions. Okay, so who is going to take that decision? So AI can help you to identify those patterns. Okay, so that that products can reach the customers quickly, because product how much time the product spends in the warehouses is inversely proportional to the profit made. Okay, so by this the organization could adjust the stock levels dynamically, and the impact wasn't only the cost reduction. They achieved something more important, which is availability improved while waste decreased. Okay, normally these two move in opposite directions, but intelligent predictions can balance them. Clear? So operational AI doesn't just optimize, it stabilizes the business performance. Clear? So after seeing these cases, a question naturally arises, like, why do some organizations achieve this while others stay in the pilot mode? Because the answer is leadership behavior. So in successful organizations, leadership does three things early. They learn the fundamental themselves, they communicate, and they empower teams to experiment safely. So when leaders understand the possibilities, decision can happen faster. Okay, and when leaders don't, every AI step requires repetitive justification. Okay, so transformation speed equals to the decision speed, and the decision speed starts at the top. Okay, so AI readiness is not a technical readiness. It is a leadership readiness within your organization. Okay, and it should start from top to bottom. Okay, so leadership in this AI era, requires different kind of literacy. Okay, so you don't need to know how model works internally. Okay, but you should know how they affect the decisions. Think of it as a financial literacy. You don't need to calculate the interest formulas manually, but you must understand the financial impact to make business decisions. Okay, so AI literacy works in the same way. Okay, the leader should be able to ask, like, where can intelligence reduce uncertainty? Where must human judgment remain final? And what processes must change if decisions become faster? So when leaders ask better question, organizations adopt AI responsibly. And confidence at the top creates confidence throughout your company. Clear? So at this stage, organizations often need structured understanding, not deep technical training, but a strategic clarity. An executive level learning path helps leaders connect three main things, which is the business goals, risk governance, and operational implementation. Without structure, learning remains fragmented. Articles, demos, vendor presentations. Okay. And structured education converts this awareness into the decision capability. Okay. And see, the purpose over here is not to turn leaders into the engineers. Okay. But to help them to guide through transformational confidently and responsibly. Clear? And the modules in this course typically moves through a logical progression, which is understanding capabilities, aligning business value, governing responsibility, and scaling operationally. And the intention is to ensure that the AI initiatives become repeatable processes rather than just the isolated successes. Okay. See, organization don't need more pilots. They need predictable adoption. Clear? So if you have any questions, any doubts, feel free to put that in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nihit, for sharing all those insights with us today. We'll now move on to the Q&A session, and we already have some questions with us lined up. I'll just quickly take them one by one. Yeah, so the first question we have is, how do you recommend organizations handle employee fear around AI?
Okay, thank you. Whoever asked this question, because this is a question which I usually get every time. See, employee fear usually comes from three places. Okay, which is job loss anxiety, skill absence, and the loss of control. Okay, and the first is the silence. So the best response to this is the structure, transparency plus enablement. Okay, so you can start with, so you lead with clarity, not the hype that, hey, we are going to use AI and all. Tell them where they are going to use AI and what benefits it can bring in. Okay. And reframe AI as an augmentation rather than replacement. Clear? That's what a lot of employees feel, that we are training our replacements. Not. AI is here to help you to become more productive at the end of the day in whatever means it can.
Thank you. Thank you, Nihit. The
Hmm.
next question that we have is many organizations run AI pilots but fail to
Hmm.
scale them. What are
Yes.
the top 2 to 3 reasons pilot don't translate into
Hmm.
enterprise adoption?
Hmm. See, this is also extremely common that organizations successfully test AI, then it stalls. So the common reasons which I have seen across the organization is like, see, pilot solved a cool problem, okay, but not the strategic one. Because many pilots focuses on chatbots, content generation, and internal assistants, but they don't tie the organization don't tie it to the revenue growth, cost structure, and so if use case isn't tied to the C-level KPIs, it won't scale. Scaling requires executive ownership, not the innovation theater. Okay. That's why during this complete webinar, we have discussed that AI adoption should start from the top. Okay. Next is that as an organizations, we were not ready with the data and the infrastructure. Okay. Because see, when we were using Pilot, they use clean and curated data. They run in a controlled environment and they bypass legacy systems. But at enterprise scale, your reality hurts. So we have fragmented data, incomplete data, security concerns, and even integration complexities. Okay. So that's why a lot of companies are building strong data foundations before advanced AI became the mainstream. Because AI doesn't scale without data maturity.
Thank you. I think with that, we come towards an end for our today's session. And I would like to thank everyone for your thoughtful questions. If in case you have any doubts, any more questions, you have all the contact details in the chat box and you can feel free to reach out to us anytime. And I would like to thank you, Nihit, especially for sharing these insights and sharing. We hope this session has given all of us a clearer roadmap towards becoming an AI ready enterprise. If you're looking to build AI capability across your organizations, then AI Certs and Think Smart Gulf offer structured programs designed for leaders, technical teams, and business unit users. There are more than 60 plus certifications, role based certifications that we have been providing. Please explore those certification pathways, enterprise training solutions, and feel free to reach out to us at any point of time if you have any doubts or any questions, or you would like to continue this conversation with us. We'll be sharing the recording of the session and your participation certificate shortly after the session ends. On behalf of AI Certs and Think Smart Girls, thank you once again, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Just I like to end with one quote that always remember working with AI is a journey, not a destination. Okay, so you have to keep walking. Thank you.
Thank you, Nihit.